all you wonderful human beings out there. It feels so good to be back. Am I back? Okay, I'm back.
Yes. Keep talking.
Yes, it's quite a while since I have been here in our studio. And when I came into the office today, I did not even recognize Sebastian and Niklas. They look like adults now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really cool to be here, and I already started one of the 3 games we are going to talk about today. So here I'm in the book of Unwritten Tales 2, and I will leave the rest of the show to Nico. So Nico can do all the question and interview part, and I will take care of the games. Yeah. Premium content ahead. Niklas, what have you done? Yeah.
Do you already know my latest...
What do I already know? Your latest what? Oh, your latest Nerf gun! Wow, what an upgrade! Show it. Get in the room. Oh, come a little bit closer. Oh no! Oh, Wow! Oh, are you crazy? What is this? Show it into the. I break out in sweat. That's. Yeah. I break out in sweat. Oh, now I can play a little bit with these cute arrows. I can. No, here. Take your arrow. So, how is everyone out there? Let's see who is in the chat already. So, wonderful Astrid is there, Vegepink is there, Dana, our Zimt queen. What's the English word for Zimt?
Cinnamon.
Cinnamon. Our cinnamon queen. Rainbow Red Art. What a nice name. Good to have you here. Kurt Chen is there. I have seen King Art. Welcome. Welcome to our stream. Welcome to our chat. From now on, you have to be here every day. Every follower of devcom on Twitch has to be in our channel for 12 hours every day. I don't know if we told you before, but yeah. A contract is a contract, you know? And Justin, looking forward talking to you in a minute. Llama Makes Music. Hello. Pest Doctor. Good to see you. I hope you enjoyed your noodle machine. What's the English word for noodle? Noodle. Noodle. It's noodle machine. Bolondosh, good to see you. Chief Master. Good to see you too, Chief Master. Tristan. Hello. Feels like a family meetup, right? I like it. I really like that. So today we will talk about a wonderful game developer from Bremen, a town in northern Germany, a company called King Art Games. They are developing games for 60 years now, estimation. And they really do wonderful stuff. I played a lot of their games, and I've seen, for example, that I played The Dwarfs for 52 hours back then. I have never played the Unwritten Tales. So let's see how this is going to end. And we will take a look at Iron Harvest today. Big winner at the German Game Developer Award. And Niklas is yelling at me that Nico is waiting.
No, I'm not yelling. I'm just telling you,
Nico's
just
waiting.
say hello to Nico.
I'm still in my introduction here. It's My warm-up.
Now I'm live? Yeah, well, thanks for that.
Nico is cleaning his room, so everything is fine. And
I brought
in
a
a few
couple of
weeks from now,
co-hosts.
Astrid, when is the exact date when you start your vertical slice show, and when will you have Jan, the CEO and founder of King Art, in your show? Please.
I don't have him on
Give
my
me a
show
hint in the
because
chat.
Astrid is.
So we will talk a lot about King Art in the future. And I'm very much looking forward for today. Today we will focus on game design questions. And we have 3 wonderful guests here. Marilena is going to join us, Justin is going to join us, and Philipp Döschel from FDG, who is also a game designer. We will talk about all the game design aspects. Hello, Nico.
Hello.
Hello.
I brought a couple of co-hosts as
I
well.
can't hear you.
You can't?
Can't hear you.
Okay, you're fucking messing with me.
It's
Yeah,
a
good
running gag.
start.
Sorry, I need to do it.
How-
Where was left? Oh, no, thank you. I'm not eating sweets anymore. Niklas. There. We have our own Haribo sweets here.
But yeah, I mean, regarding those 52 hours, is it basically like when you play a game, you play 1 hour per year that you've aged?
At a special moment in time, I needed to start another game. And I only can play 1 game at a time. So I don't know why I didn't finish it. I guess I will finish it today. I will do some speed run today.
Sure. Yeah. So you played it for 52 hours and you didn't finish it. Did you make it out of the tutorial or? I don't know.
Har har.
I'm sorry, it's a legit question.
Yeah, it is. It is. But last week at the German Game Developer Award, I had this little Dauerbrenner stream with Gerrit, and we started 4 games, and we never finished any tutorial at that evening. We
You
simply
also
were.
played the Surge, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I get that.
And I always had to play for
I know
Stefan
how you
because
play.
yeah.
Yeah. And I could do some real screen magic, yeah, because I was sitting there like, let's say this, somehow like this, so you couldn't see the controller, and you also couldn't see Niklas. So I gave the controller to him, and he was standing over there and playing for me, and I was under the table like, oh yeah, ooh, that's cool. Okay, yeah, okay, got it.
Yeah, and you were always complaining about the controller because it's different. But just by the way, it's the same that you have in your hands right now.
Yeah.
Just
He's saying that I was complaining about the controller, but that's not true. They inverted everything, so I would have had to play like this. Yeah. Who is playing inverted? Nico, are you inverting?
It depends. No, it really depends.
It depends.
On
oh
the
my
game.
gosh. Okay.
But mostly not the vertical axis, but the horizontal one. That's what I sometimes change.
The horizontal.
With which you normally control the camera, mostly in like third-person games. That is weird sometimes. They mostly have like differences between Japanese games and Western games actually.
Okay.
And then you really either have to get used to it or you just change the settings.
I'm not able to play anything that is inverted, honestly. Simply does not work. Maybe I only have one half of a brain.
You should have stopped that.
And not
I
two.
cannot play.
Why? It's clipped. Nico, did you play any of the King Art games we are talking about today?
Actually, not yet, but I know that Iron Harvest, this caught my attention, that they're planning a port for consoles. And I'm a console geek, I'm sorry. Yeah, boo. PC players are so much cooler.
Yeah, they are.
I don't care, but I definitely want to play it on console once it's out. And yeah, I have pretty high hopes for it because normally I honestly do not. Let's say when I see, I try to avoid getting on any hype train. Normally, when I see a first screenshot or a really short teaser trailer for a new game that is when it's being announced, I either know that I'm interested and I will get the game once it's out, and then I'm gonna play it and make my own picture. But I normally do not follow too many games, during that announcement process. But actually, Iron Harvest, whenever I saw new content, I was really amazed, and it looks really cool. I love the settings. I watched the launch trailer and all that stuff, and it seems pretty dark, actually, pretty serious as well. The characters look really cool. I'm so looking forward to playing it actually on consoles then. But, yes.
Yeah, I can imagine. And as PC gamers always say, playing on consoles is much easier. So, of course, you are looking for easy
ways out,
chilling gaming experience.
Got it.
I honestly, I don't know how people can play a shooter on a console. It simply
it just depends. Of course, you have like a couple of additional mechanics, but at the end of the day, it's getting used to. And if everyone plays with the same input device, everyone plays on the same level. I guess the only thing that I try to avoid as much as possible was when I played Modern Warfare. I think up until Season 5, and at some point, I mean, they had like crossplay enabled in a couple of game modes. I think Ground War and Warzone, where you could actually play against PC players. But even then, to a degree, of course, if you are good with the mouse and the keyboard, you always have an advantage over people with a controller. But I mean, Warzone is so full of cheaters anyway, so it doesn't really make a difference.
I never played it.
Also, I suck. So
yeah. Maybe we should play some shooter games together, you and me.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think I I can do good enough to waste you. So
you can do good enough. Yeah. No, but honestly, we should start doing some let's plays together. So for example,
totally up for it.
For example, tomorrow evening.
Just please no co-op games because I don't want to depend on you.
Of course, co-op games. We are going to play Phasmophobia and stuff like that.
Oh yes. we talked a lot about that. I think in one of the early access shows. Was it the early access? I don't remember.
Niklas would join us.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm up for that. That could be really, really nice. I mean, what I heard about the game so far, it just freaked the shit out of me.
Hey, we got a little raid. The Von just raided with a group of 6 people.
Whoop, whoop.
Thanks for joining us. And the Von just says, talking about King Art games by any chance? We will later on. We will. Yeah. But that would be fun, Nico. And I learned that we can play Iron Harvest against each other.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, honestly. I thought it's just a single player, but I never played it before. So I'm really looking forward to this evening. And I backed it back then at Kickstarter. I guess I gave 100,000 euros or something like that.
The regular amount that you normally give.
Yeah. I always
because
forget
you're fully overpaid.
Those little numbers, Here, King Art just said, well spent. Yeah. Obviously.
Signed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
what I think is really, really cool about our guests tonight is that both Justin and Marilena is assistant producer at King Art Games. Justin is a game and level designer at King Art Games. And what I love so much about this constellation is that both of them were helping us out. Were part of our volunteers family at devcom, Quo Vadis, at so many events. And it's so cool to see, them, finding a place in such a great studio. And I think that makes that's really cool.
Yeah.
And also, as you already said, I think it's going to be the first episode of Astrid's Vertical Slice show.
I'm not 100% sure. Is it still the first or is it the second?
It's the first. Yeah, it's the first. It's next week on Thursday. I think also starting at 4. No, I gotta check again. No, it's in the morning. I think at 11. Astrid, if you're here in the chat, please, just type in the times when your show is going on air, and she has Jan Tyson from King Art Games as her guest, together with Andre Bernhardt, and they will focus completely on Kickstarter and Iron Harvest. So yeah, that's really cool. We have King Art double feature.
Yes.
Whoop whoop.
Yeah. By the way, I guess now it's time to talk with King Art about the main sponsorship of devcom this year, right?
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
Actually, one thing before we start, because it's almost 4:30. For those of you who want to stay after the GameDev Show, as you might have noticed, we restructured the timetable a bit. So the GameDev Show ends at 6:30. And as I obviously do not have a life, and I did my own show format test run on Monday, Tears and Trophies, it's just a Let's Play. We just needed a stupid name. So we're going to do some after the show. And I even have a little unboxing prepared. It's not super old. I think like 3 or 4 years old. But I was able to grab a pretty cheap collector's edition.
I completely forgot to show the giveaway we have today. Just a second. At
what
least
is it?
I think Niklas told me that this is our giveaway for today. So
I hate you,
I guess
but you know that.
This is our giveaway, right? Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Nico? No. I'm such a funny guy, right? It's just, yeah.
Yeah, tell yourself that.
Yeah, you need to come to Cologne and finish what you started. Finish what you started. By the way,
you sound like a really, I don't know, like a really bad villain.
Yeah, like
and
Sylvester...
I don't mean bad in terms of evil.
Oh.
But just bad.
Sylvester Stallone. I sound like a Sylvester Stallone. But at what time? At what time are you going to start your Let's Play today?
I gotta rearrange a couple of things. I hope I put the cables back into the right slots. So if all goes right, I think I'm targeting like 7 p.m., like half an hour break after the GameDev Show, and then I'm gonna basically stream my hopefully final run Other Side, turn-based strategy game, really cool, especially graphics-wise.
Cool.
So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. So just to be clear on that, of course, I'm not allowed to give away Nico's Lego. Yeah. I'm not allowed. It was just a joke, but a very funny joke. Meanwhile,
back on the balcony.
Meanwhile, I opened all the bags in there and put everything just into the box. So whenever you're going to try to set it up, it's going to be so much fun for all the others watching you. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. The Steel Legionnaire just said, no more jokes. It's not allowed to make fun about a Lego giveaway. Yeah. So, our guest, Nico...
And yeah, that's absolutely right. You know, there's a couple things that you just don't make fun about. You know, like giving away my Lego set to other people.
Politics, religion, and Lego. 3 big topics. So, we have our guests waiting. And let's see if we can see and listen to them. Oh! Hello, everyone.
Hello.
It's so good to see you. How are you?
Thank you.
Fine, how are you?
I'm good. Good to see you too. Hi.
Justin, how are you?
Oh, it's great. Great to be
cool.
here.
Okay, I can hear all of you, so wonderful to have you in the show. And before we start talking about the games and the game design and stuff like that, let's do a little introduction rounds. So we all know each other for years now, but our audience does not necessarily know you. So let's start with Marilena and then Philip and Justin afterwards.
Yes, hi, I am Marilena. I am officially an assistant producer at King Art Games, and I worked previously on Iron Harvest.
Wonderful game. What a wonderful game.
Yes, absolutely.
For how long are you now part of King Art?
Very long. I started as a intern in 2018. Then as a working student in the same year, wrote my bachelor thesis also for the company. And afterwards, in spring of 2019, I stayed with the company for a full-time contract. And ever since, I'm full part of the team.
Wonderful. And you did also a fantastic job during our events. Marilena and Justin both were our beloved volunteers back then. Good old times, right? Running events, meeting on events. Okay.
I grow up so fast.
Yeah, for so long. I think we know each other for 5 years or so now. So.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah. Must be 5 years. Okay, Philip, please go ahead, continue.
Hi, and thanks for having me. It's been a long time since the last time I could talk to people, since there's no traveling anymore. Anyways, I'm from FTG Entertainment, one of the co-founders, and yeah, we're doing games for all platforms with Monster Boy 2 years ago. 2 years and 2 months ago. Released Oceanhorn. We just announced yesterday that we will be publishing Oceanhorn 2 as well, and yeah, so. And we are also becoming a developer now since we started internal development last year, which is quite exciting.
Okay, and
cool.
When I take a look at your background, are you in your company's studio right now, or are you at home and this is in a way your home office, or where are you?
Yeah, it's actually my home office.
I'm so jealous.
Office, computer and stuff at home in my studio, and so I have to put away all the controllers and stuff, and well, they're actually down there. And so it's just the game development studio now, not a music studio anymore. But the drum set is still working.
Cool. So you're doing a lot of music, obviously, yeah? Are you playing in a band or something?
Yeah, I used to play in bands, but well, the older we get, the more work we have, the kids and everything, well, there's not enough time anymore to play in bands, sadly.
Yeah.
So I wonder how Nico's doing that.
You know, this is like, I lack the family part, so I have some time to kill, but it's not like it's getting any easier right now, you know. This is like, currently I would kill to have at least, 1 or 2 beers with my bandmates, but... But I get it, this is like our bass player, he just had his second child, they've built a house, so yeah, time is getting scarce, and but this is like, we keep going, or like the Beastie Boys once said, still doing it.
Yeah.
So I'll do it again once we retire and need to do some money for the retirement.
I mean, this is like I still haven't given up, all hope, because this is like some of my idols are the guys from Lamb of God, and I mean, I think they were all in their mid-40s when they actually got famous. So who knows?
Mid-40s.
A couple of years left for that, right?
Yeah.
20.
Yeah, we can do some kind of show act. Nico screaming and you doing the music in the background. So, not today maybe, but when we have the next devcom.
But Justin, what about you? It's your turn. Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi. I'm Justin, and I'm working as a game and level designer. I'm working at King Art for more than 3 years now. And yeah, quite enjoying being on the team for Iron Harvest. Been there for like most of the time. I was in a smaller other project beforehand, and then switched to, as soon as we started with the main production, onto Iron Harvest.
Cool.
And I can see a game design book in your bag, yeah. So.
Oh yeah, there are quite a few books here, and my bachelor thesis as well.
Oh, which one is that? Show it to me.
Wait. It's pretty blank, but yeah, that's it.
Wow, that's how
that's
things.
Actually, you put way more effort into the cover than I did.
Yeah.
Way more I did not put that much into that.
Back in the days when I was at the university, it was going to the print and copy shop and printing things and having some kind of, I don't even know, a ring book, yeah.
Like ring book, I had that too.
It looked terrible compared
to that.
Yeah. Back then it was all about the content, It was all about the content. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mine wasn't, no.
So, today we are going to talk about the games of King Art, and I would like to start with the Book of Unwritten Tales 2, and I already prepared the menu here and just play a little bit. I haven't played it yet. As far as I can see, I'm falling. And I don't know what to do now, but...
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know that part.
Oh.
So I think, it has been a while for me. I played that game. Of course, it was long before my time at King Art. But yeah, you basically have to hold on to things while you're falling.
Okay, that should be easy. Yeah.
This is literally me on a Saturday evening before the pandemic hit.
So,
I guess have to climb up. Yes.
I guess this game is from. Hey, what are you doing here with me? Now it's getting easier. This game is from 2014. Am I right?
Yes.
Something like that. So back then, there was no real-time strategy game on the horizon. But I always love to play these very well-designed classic adventure games. Let's call it like this. So Philip, you as someone publishing a lot of games, is there still a market for games like this?
I think you can argue in both directions. They're certainly not the most successful genre, but well, I personally love this type of games. I didn't play this series, but I definitely will because it looks really cool.
Yeah, it really does, right? And
really
the story is also amazing.
Can you tell us a little bit about the story, Marilena?
Okay, without spoiling too much. So this is of course the second part, but the first part is basically about. There are like many stories coming together to one great story to basically defeat a villain. And you see that from the perspective of a gnome. If I spell that correctly, in German it's gnome. From this guy here called Nate and an elven princess. who find together to defeat a greater evil. As I said, I don't want to spoil it too much. And this game here is basically going further, pursuing the path of defeating the greater evil in the form of a very, how do I describe it? A angry woman and her daughter.
Okay.
And things are happening, and there's like a big thing happening at the end where, oh my god, how this is going to end, because the end is very much open. And I want to know what is happening, and I wanted to have a third part of a book of Unwritten Tales, but yeah, hopefully in the near future or so. But yeah, that's basically the very.
Honestly, it's really wonderful piece of tutorial, because it's so well animated. And the dialogues are really, really funny, and I cannot hear anything. Niklas, is there a chance that you can give me the game sound?
I like the genie. The genie reminds me a bit of you. You know, it's got the same vest, same color, same hair.
What? Now I can hear everything. Okay, now I can also hear Rufina. Why do I hear Rufina suddenly?
The funny thing is, the German voice actor for Nate is basically the same actor who voiced Adam Sandler and James Bond. It's so cool.
Oh.
If you pay attention.
Curly red hair. And her way to become the hero of the story. That's something is in the background here. Sorry, I need to double check. Something is. I hear somebody else. Ah! I really was. Did you hear Rufina too?
Yeah.
Yeah, and for some reasons we had.
You had the video on demand?
The video of our last stream from yesterday running in the background. So it was my fault, sorry. Oh, okay. Who's that little guy here?
Willkommen, Abenteurer. Ich bin das Tutorial, Wächter über das Spielprinzip, Erklärer der Steuerung.
It's like a claptrap on meth.
Wo immer dir beliebt.
It's Wall-E.
Wall-E.
After he lost his
Gut
job.
gemacht. Klicke mal den großen Hebel.
Joining the games industry.
He couldn't afford his parts anymore, so he had to go to the junkyard.
Der Roboter hat den Hebel benutzt, da ihm das logisch erschien. Klicke den
I
Hebel
assume
nun mit
you
rechts
two
an.
actually, you joined King Art Games when they were already working on Iron Harvest, right?
Ausgezeichnet.
Yeah, correct.
That wasn't pre-production. Iron Harvest was in pre-production when we joined.
Die Luke dort. Klicke sie mit
But you
links
were already aware that they were now working on an RTS, because I think what I'm currently thinking about is when we look at Book of Unwritten Tales, and then you look at the dwarves, and then you look at Iron Harvest. I do think it's interesting that it's always a completely different genre that they try to tackle, which is really cool, I think, because I do think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do have the feeling that so often there's a lot of studios that stick to one genre and basically try to perfectionize their skills that they have to make games in that genre better and better and better. And this is really interesting to see. I mean, there's a huge difference between doing it like a point-and-click adventure, and going to an RTS from there.
Just a second. Sebastian, can you mute the game, please? While we are in the tutorial, it's too much voiceover there. Thank you.
Yeah, so as you said, like it's a really cool thing, like for developers as well, to just like have different things going on and like try out new things. But of course we have a few things that we still like do in all of our games, and having like the story be a big focus in like almost everything that we do. Then having like more of like tactical and strategy involved gameplay, like there was a RTS called like Battle Worlds Chronos, which came in after the Book of Unwritten Tales, and of course the Dwarves has like a lot of tactical elements and strategy as well, and therefore like the path, there was at least like somewhat of interest and ideas around like RTS gameplay and stuff like that.
I'm curious, how important is it for, let's say, newcomers when they start in a company like King Art to know on which projects you are going to work in the future? Was that important for you, or did you just wanted to join King Art because you so much liked the team and believed in what they did so far?
For me, it was definitely the second. I mean, of course, the first romance I had with the company was because of Book of Unwritten Tales. I said, oh, this game is so great. I think I could consider working for this company. And then, of course, you meet the devs on events and kind of learn a bit more about the company. And then the interests rises more for that particular part. Because at the end of the day, the project might be nice, but working with a good team and a good company culture is the most important thing to fulfill, like making a project happen.
Yeah, I think I would say more or less the same thing. Later on, I guess it's way more interesting to also like think about the projects and what you want to like work on and see where you're heading. But like from a graduate standpoint, it's probably more interesting like of what the company is going to do, not rather like the project itself, but rather like what their style is, or like for example, like if you're going more for the mobile or PC platforming, there are like several differences where you have to think about, okay, which developers might be the ones that I'm looking for.
By the way,
actually a question that would go out to both you, Marilena, and Justin, as well as Philip, from a publisher's point of view, or now also developer's point of view. But is there? I mean, we know it from gamers. Everyone has like their favorite games that they like to play, favorite genres. But I do think I could imagine that it's just the same for a game dev, that you have like favorite genres that you are more invested in, or where you say, okay, this is just my thing. You know, this is what I love to work on. I love the mechanics. I love, I don't know. Testing my own limits, gather more experience, make the perfect RPG, for example. Is there something that you as developers say, gathering experience is in as many fields as possible is cool, but there's just some genres that I would not like to work on? And the same goes for you, to you, Phil, primarily as a publisher. Is there any sort of game, specifically genres, where you say, okay, this is something, even if it's a good game, we would just not be interested in publishing a game of that and that genre because we feel it doesn't, I don't know, fit our portfolio or just our personal taste?
Well,
I'm gonna let Marilena start, and then we just go from left to right.
Well, of course, I cannot speak for my company. I can only speak for myself. I personally enjoy working on, like, basically, I would enjoy working on every genre because, of course, it's, yeah, I like games in general. What I would rather not like that much would be more first-person shooters, because maybe it's because I don't have much fun with it because I'm bad. And I think sports games, because I don't know, playing FIFA or I don't know, football or something is, you can do that outside too, right? It's grab a ball, go outside. You don't have to do it on your console. I think it would be a bit boring for me. I mean, I can't really tell, but I think it would be boring for me to do such kind of games. My favorites are like games that I also grew up with is 3D platformers. I enjoy puzzle adventures like Bout and open world RPGs.
Trick follow-up question, because actually I have the same feeling, for example, towards sports games, because you know I this is how I don't know, like see some game types where I say, okay, this is stuff that I can actually do in real life, you know, not that I want to be, I don't know, like a shooter in real life, but for example, when it comes to sports, okay, there's stuff that you can really do outside with your friends. But trick question, if it's a game like Blood Bowl where you actually take something like football and add fantasy elements, would that change your approach?
Absolutely yes. If it's something like, you know, if games can give me something that I don't have in real life and that I have like an amazing experience with, hell yeah. Absolutely, I would play it. But you know, the more it is realistic to real life, the more boring it appears to me. And this is why also I had a lot of fun working on Iron Harvest 2, because like, of course, yeah, you have people with rifles and grenades and stuff, but you also have these mechs that like they do not exist in real life. And of course, it's pretty fun playing them and seeing them in action and designing them and all of that stuff. It's great. So yeah.
Cool. Justin, what about you?
So yeah, personally, like I like to play a lot of like action adventures and like role-playing games and stuff like that. Really like the third-person stuff. But I do enjoy like working on different genres and different game, different, let's say like games in general. Like if it's like a small game jam title, which is like let's say a 2D thing, and that's totally cool to like get into the design of it and try to see and understand what you can achieve with the limited resource that you have. And also, like in an example of Iron Harvest, I personally wasn't like at all interested in RTS in the beginning as a child or something. Like I played a few bits here and there, but it was just not a thing that I took on. But then once I started with Iron Harvest, I took more and like time and research into it, and I really enjoyed like the design aspect of working for an RTS, because it's completely like different, for example, from a level design perspective, because of the point of view for an RTS in comparison to a third-person adventure or something. So that was really interesting, and I guess that would like go for basically every genre that I would work in, because you can find almost like everything is offering you something for a designer. The question is rather than what is the taste, or like what's your taste, what you want to more specialize in or something.
I have a question for Philip. Philip, when a game developer comes to you and says, okay, we have an idea, but we need 30% of our budget for the very detailed animations, like we can see here, yeah? So a lot of the quality of this game, for me, is to see all those little details. All of this costs a lot of money to produce that kind of quality. How do you deal with finding the right balance between the budget, the things a game dev team needs or wants, and the quality of a game, and what's really necessary for a game, and all this stuff? How do you balance this?
Oh,
and don't forget my question.
Actually, not for
just because Stefan was rushing
in. And yeah, I can only talk for us. What's important for us is that we make games that we're proud of at some point, and that we enjoy as much as possible, and that are close to be perfect. Of course, it's never possible to make a game perfect, but so we put a lot of attention on lots of things. You mentioned animations. They're super important, especially the more realistic the game gets. You need better animations, maybe mocap is needed, or whatever. And what's very important for us is music. So this is where we spend a lot of money on production. As we did for Monster Boy, for example, where we did the whole soundtrack was a legendary cast of Japanese composers from Yuzo Koshiro to Motoi Sakuraba and all the people that we know from our childhood. So it consumed a considerable amount of time, of work, of funds and money, of course, because these people are more expensive than like the average composer. And in the end, it pays off. So of course, it's always a question of finding the right balance, but you can overdo everything. But if you have the chance, then it's always good to invest as much as possible in certain things. Of course, at some point, it doesn't make sense to do more anymore, because you've hit a quality level that it's hard to get, well, to cross even more. But yeah, to answer the question, so if it's a game where like the amount of animations and detail of animation is very important, and of course we would not step back from paying animation, say, okay, let's cut it in half, because it's so important.
And I can believe that talking to a experienced team like King Art gives you much more trust in the product than talking to a newcomer or an indie team doing their first title, right?
Sure. I mean, it's always a bit tricky when it's the first game of people, because the estimations are always like so off. But I mean, let's be honest, and I bet it's the same for almost every developer. You can only be wrong with your estimations. So, so you say, okay, let's do this game in 2 years, and then it'll take 2 years and a half or 3 years, or things happen that you didn't expect, or you thought that Feature 8 would be a super cool mechanic, but it turns out it's not fun at all, and you have to throw a lot of things over.
Damn. I'm still trying to find the way to make cheap leave the little jewelry case. So just ignore me, yeah, while I'm playing here for
don't worry.
half an
I'm
hour.
trying to think with you here, because of course I played it too, but it has been a while. Can you walk to the other side of the balcony, maybe? I don't know. No, there's... Okay.
Yeah. I already got some Sonnenblumenkerne. I don't know the English word for that, but...
sunflower seeds.
Sunflower seeds, of course. But cheap is not hungry. Damn. Okay, let's give it another try. I have an idea. So, but
maybe
I guess...
Maybe you find a 12 gauge somewhere.
But I guess I
Maybe
interrupted...
put the seeds. Can you put the seeds in this...
here.
Here. In there, and then Cheap flies over.
Yeah, let's see.
Ha! Oh. That worked.
Come on. Ah!
Oh. There you go.
There we go.
Perfect.
Yes, Okay, but
I still think it's amazing that you have to lure the bird away to open the chest. It's just shush.
You can't do that.
Must be a badass bird.
It will bite you.
Yeah, he always mocks her.
Okay. Okay, now I got a mirror.
Actually, how many people are you at King Art Games at the moment?
Around 80, together with working students and interns. We are currently also growing.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
We'll be
we're working with internal, like with a lot of people in different teams. With like the main focus was like, of course, once we developed Iron Harvest, the most of the company was working on it. And additionally, we had a lot of like external workers helping us. And yeah, I think it was more or less the same amount of people again.
Yeah, almost
working
as many
externally.
Wow. Okay. Wow. And that's often what you don't see, right? Even when you talk about like a.
We have a nice question here in the chat, Marilena. Insane Force just asked, are you in need of industrial psychologists by any chance?
What is that even? But so industrial psychologist, is that basically some type of consulting for management, or because I can tell you, I don't know if I'm in need. Anyone tell me if I'm in need?
Help!
It sounds interesting. Let's say it that way.
I don't know how to industrialize within the company.
Okay.
But I would like to answer the questions.
Like trying to grow, so therefore not sure what different kind of.
Justin, do you know what is meant?
I have no clue. Like I guess like there's like a psychologist who's working like more in the industrial like industry. I'm not sure.
Like a company psychologist, or
I mean, like in general, like especially in game design, it's a lot of about psychology and like understanding the player and playing around with player expectations. But on the other side, if it's more of a like working, like for the workers, like for the game devs, then there might be a different like.
I think there are many answers to that. You could get an industrial psychologist. You can also do as a designer, depending on what kind of task you have, research on that, or workshops. I think there are different ways to gather knowledge regarding psychology, also within like how to apply it within games. Even when we talk about like teams and company culture and stuff like that, then I think it's more an HR kind of deal.
I think Dana was just answering to that, to help the company's productivity and more efficiency in the work environment. So I guess that would be rather like an HR person. So actually maybe we as we plan to grow in the near future, maybe there's something coming up where we could need some kind of like helping hand there.
Yeah, we're actually already working very hard. I mean, it's a constant work that we put into our company culture, and I think that we will also get to the point to do that too very soon.
This is really tough to solve. Now you understand why.
What about that ball in front here? The red ball and the statue?
I opened.
What is in your pocket?
I opened it already, and I have a picture and a mirror in my pocket. So I thought about using the mirror on the stature, but when I tried it, it did not work out. But maybe, okay.
Show the bird the mirror, maybe. Or can you put the...
Ha!
Ah, okay. Yeah,
oh, this is new. This is new. Just a second.
Yeah, because I remembered that the bird liked to, yeah.
Now
He's impressed of himself, yeah.
Now I can get down into the garden. Here we are. Zick. I'm such
That's
a
the great moments of video games.
Yeah. Oh, come on.
Oh.
Ah. Damn.
Almost.
Okay. Philip, what is your favorite genre of games?
Ooh, tough question. I don't think it's just one genre. It's I love like strategy, tactic games. I love platformers. I used to play a lot of first-person shooters. Like 10 years ago was all the Call of Duties and all the stuff, and I haven't played them for a long time because I just played too many of them. I just finished a campaign of Call of Duty Cold War, which I really enjoyed, which I didn't think so. But I won't play it in multiplayer. But I don't know. It's really there's not one genre that I prefer more. I have to play FIFA with my son before he goes to bed. Well, it's certainly not my favorite type of game, and I wouldn't play it on my own.
It's okay right now with the social distancing, right?
So it's more about playing, being entertained in a cool way and having a good time than a specific genre. Sometimes I want to play like a specific genre because I didn't play it for long, or I don't know. But I really play all type of games. I just got how's it called, like the HOTAS controller from Thrustmaster.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw your picture for some Ace Combat edition. Ace Combat is probably one of my favorite games of 2019.
Sorry?
Ace Combat is probably my most favorite game of 2019. I think I almost put like 200 hours in this game to finish the platinum, and I just love it. I don't know, I played through the whole campaign at least like 20 times at least.
There is controller.
With a regular controller, but it's still a ton of fun, and I still listen to the soundtrack like from start to finish, heavy rotation. It's so good.
Cool. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, you should. Yeah. Stefan, are you still with us?
Yeah. It's a very, very easy game. I'm just taking my time to enjoy the game. Every single aspect of this level. But, Philip, do you think there are special genres where game design is even more complicated than in other genres? Of course, I don't want you to compare, let's say, clicker game with AAA GTA, yeah? But are there genres where you can do a lot of mistakes in game design and completely ruin a game? Or is it?
Well, I think this applies to every game or to every genre. You can have a really great idea, but then you fuck it up in the end when you execute the idea. I think the more new things you do and the more you try to innovate and do things that people haven't done before, the more complicated it gets with game design, and the more you have to do prototypes, to iterate and to try around. If you just do like how's 0815 in English? Like you said.
I have that issue too. Well, whenever I try to describe something cheap.
Well, it's not nothing special, like a standard game, like an average game. If you just want to make an average game in a genre, you can basically just copy and get inspiration from many other games. It certainly applies to many mechanics in every game, But there, at some point, you have to do new things, and I think this is where it gets complicated. At least this is where we always try to, or where we spend much time on many projects we did with many external teams and throughout the world, and it's what's always the hardest.
Which is interesting because, I mean, I remember actually when we two first met, Philip and me, that was at Werk 1 back then when you were exhibiting Monster Boy when it wasn't even Monster Boy yet. At Werk 1 at the Idea at Xbox event back then. And you even, when you were doing the session with Fabien and Nishizawa-san in 2019, you also talked about that at some point you changed a lot of the original game. I mean, I think like the characters, even when you switched the style and all that stuff. Marilena and Justin, was there something like that during the production of Iron Harvest where you said, okay, this is how we actually imagine it to be, but the way that we had it in mind, it just did not work, and we had to change anything, I don't know, like crucial that, you know, this is like might have even, you know, this is like change the original approach to the game as a whole to a degree.
I think like in general we had a lot of like smaller decisions and a lot of small things that did not work correctly like that way how we planned it beforehand, which is like the case for every game development. But like the general vision of having those like the reference of the Polish artist being like interactable, being able to play with the mechs and run through those beautiful landscapes was a thing that we just wanna nail down, and I think we did quite well on that regard. And then there was just like, as I said, a few things that were like with the destruction system and how we can make like the navigation work with that and see like how mechs can destroy stuff. Oh, Stefan, you made
there
it.
You go.
Nice.
I finally made it. I needed to open the Spieluhr. What's the English word for Spieluhr? And the little bird is stuck now in the Spieluhr. So now I could jump down.
That is cruel. You know that, you know.
Yeah, I know, but it's the way the game designer wanted to.
Saluting a bird, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just add a tiny nuclear rod or whatever, you know, just to make things more interesting. Actually, I think this might be a good moment to switch games, Stefan.
Yeah, that's perfect. But that I was so successful, I would love to continue, but I can do this later.
You can do that later in all of the free time that you have.
Yeah.
But it looks really beautiful. I like the color scheme of the game, especially, you know, during this sunset. It's nice.
It's 11. Yeah, perfect. Okay, I saved it, and now I can go back into the main menu. And who of you played the next game we are going to check out, the Dwarfs?
I watched the gameplay, and that was when the game came out in 2016. Correct me if I'm wrong. And that was a while ago, so hard to say.
I think back then, when the Dwarfs came out, I was still with Computech writing for Buffed and PC Games More. And one of my former colleagues, he was so into the game. And he also did like the review for it. And that was basically when I first got in touch with the game. And then I realized it was actually based on a book by Markus Heinz.
Yeah, Markus Heinz.
Correct.
Yeah.
And this is the game that you put for 52 hours in, Stefan?
Yeah, and I just recognized that all my save games are on my computer at home.
Because of course, otherwise you'd have to deliver proof.
It would be so easy to have it in the cloud, but okay. But anyway, this was the first real-time strategy step King Art made, right? And it was really a very successful and critically well-acclaimed game. So a lot of people had a lot of fun with that game. And I don't know if Markus Heitz is also a well-known international author, but at least here in Germany, the Dwarfs had been a huge success. And sorry, I had to.
So yeah, just to throw that in, like King Art did develop another strategy game beforehand, which is called Battle World Chronos, and the Dwarves was just like a huge another production that we had then, which is more like action focused and having that like fantasy world in there. And as like with Iron Harvest having a great inspiration with, in this case, the books of the Dwarves.
I had a lot of fun playing this game because I still was in the mood of Lord of the Rings, and ouch! Okay, I need to choose jump. Where's jump? Here we go. And haha, take this! Here I am.
So you can clearly see what he did for 52 hours.
Yeah.
Looking for the right keys to press.
Jumping people, hack and slash, everything.
I love this game so much. It's they put a lot of effort into finding the right voices for all the characters and all this stuff. So the atmosphere is really really awesome. And is it still a game that you internally at King Art used to design games like Iron Harvest, or is it completely closed, lessons learned, and now focus on a new game? You know what I mean? Or do you compare all the mechanics in games in games like the Dwarfs, games you did in the years before? So do you analyze a lot of the older games to design new games?
So I think
yeah.
Oh yeah, Marilena, go ahead.
Say more about that.
Okay. So I think we do have a lot of people like that like develop those games and therefore have that knowledge and can share those experience with us, especially with the new hires, and like let them know what works and what did not work, and therefore there's just a lot of stuff coming with that experience, but we do not actually like try to analyze things that worked in that game, because they will probably not work in a different game, because every game is so unique, and we are working with so many different systems that it's just not that valuable to analyze that far. It's rather something we know how to like having that strong focus on the narrative, or working with different voiceover artists, and we know that is something that we're good with. We want to keep that going for different projects as well. As with Iron Harvest, we put a lot of effort in like the atmosphere and the sounds and the voiceover, and that is something that we still keep doing and will do in the future as well.
Yeah, music and sound is very important to us.
And I think as you see some like technical things, like with here, there's a lot of physical interaction. There's of course a lot of knowledge that you can use for different games. That is like not part of the actual it's not necessary to build a game the same way, but you can still use some bits, some technology here and there that you already worked with. So that's a good thing for future games as well. If you develop systems that you might be able to end up in different concepts and different pitches for future projects.
Got it.
That is actually one of the questions, Philip, that I wanted to ask you as well, especially now that you, like you said, you are now starting internal development for the first time, if I got that correctly. So you
10 years ago, but start again now. So we
Okay.
already did it in the
Okay.
past.
Okay, how do I phrase that? I mean, as a publisher, you know what to look for when you work together with a developer. So you basically, from a publisher side, you're well aware where you need to, what you need to be aware of in terms of, I don't know, pitfalls during the development process. And do you think, even though you might, from a publisher side, you might very well be aware of what those pitfalls are, that it helps you avoiding them in your own development when you're suddenly back on the development side?
Yeah, well, there are several dimensions to it. The way we used to work in the last 20 years as publisher was more, we did a lot more producing, and we were very close in the production, and it was always like it's just one team working together, like spread over several offices or whatever. We always work very close with the teams, and also when they have like technical issues or whatever, we are often involved to try to find a solution. So we've always been quite close to development. But anyways, you're never safe from pitfalls. It just sucks when you do the same mistakes over and over again and never learn from them. I think it's hard to fall.
There was one more thing that I wanted to ask, but I forgot it.
That's bad.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Inhale,
sucks
exhale. I said that I said that many times on Monday. There's not two things that I can do at the same time. And
Don't you have like cards where you can look on, where you wrote your questions?
Jesus Christ, no. Do you think we're prepared?
devcom logo printed on the back.
Yeah. No, but I can jump in because I'm really, again, absolutely fascinated from the gameplay and the tutorial and all this stuff. And I think that's quite typical for King Art games, that you put a lot of effort in catching the player's attention right from the beginning. Yeah. So I'm very much looking forward to play Iron Harvest in maybe, let's say, 10 minutes or something. But is that something that you focus on? Do a game for the player and not a game for the team or the game designer?
Yeah, I think like we
Absolutely,
tend to really work close with like the community and working on a game that is for like the best game that it could be for our players. And what we do have, of course, like our vision, and we do want to get that message across and see that we can create a game that is what we want to do, like personally, of course, from the team's perspective. But we do listen and try to get everything in there as good as it can be. Like our, as with Iron Harvest and as well Book of Unwritten Tales, all the dwarves, they were all big, huge success in the Kickstarter campaign. And like Iron Harvest was the biggest Kickstarter in Germany for a video game. And therefore we have a really close connection to our fans, because we want to give them what they expect, and want to reward like the player in a way that it fits the whole game. And therefore we try to listen to the feedback once we, like, for example, for Iron Harvest, once we released it, we gathered a lot of feedback, tried to analyze what's the most important thing right now, and try to make a plan and see that we can do do a good time schedule of giving more content over the month after release.
And I can believe that is communicating with all those players out there is a key issue. Sorry. A key issue during your development. I'm dying. Sorry.
I mean, it's a challenge to get all that stuff into the right channels, basically, and sort them and see what we can and what we can't.
Because listening to our community made us also see issues that we maybe don't see as developers. You know, you see a game most of the time as a developer, and a player does see that sometimes through other eyes, and they say, hey, look, this might be an issue, or this seems unbalanced. Please take a look on that. And then we see it, and then we're like, oh yeah, that's actually a good point. So it is actually very helpful to have a community to stand behind us and actually help us out with that.
Do you know of any game design decision you changed after the community said, sorry, we don't agree, we don't like that, please do it the other way? Or did you always convince the community why you decided to design a game like you did?
I think there are some examples in how our units behave and their abilities and what we can do with that, and a lot of changed throughout being in the alpha phase and having early tests going on there, and in the beta as well. So there were, I think, a few mechs that had special abilities that were just not that great in comparison to others once we added all the other heroes and all the other units, and therefore we had to rearrange some stuff and rethink what the new role would be for a specific unit. I think, for example, there's a exoskeleton unit in Iron Harvest for the Saxony faction, which has a huge mortar on his back, and we did test and change that unit from a design perspective quite a lot, based on feedback and on the role it had throughout the development. Changing rather to a more melee heavy one, strong armor, but having a strong attack, a melee attack, instead of the mortars being the primary focus. And therefore there are, I think, quite a few abilities and units that changed based on that.
By the way, I guess you see how excellent I'm playing the tutorial. It's
you're doing quite
still
good.
The tutorial.
Yeah, it's still the tutorial. I always only play the tutorials of a game.
I mean, it's a complete different tutorial than what you can expect in Iron Harvest.
Yeah.
Our tutorial in Iron Harvest is way more different and way more, let's say, charming, I'd say.
Okay.
This one is directly into the action, which draws the attention of the player.
Yeah.
Quite good.
And I'm also a big fan of the books of Markus Heitz, so I really liked how close this game was compared to the books. But okay, I will play another maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'm going to launch Iron Harvest. But I need to destroy the other catapult. Sorry, I need to.
Where would you guys, Marilena, Justin, and also Philip, where would you say, either during the development process of Iron Harvest, or let's say, Philip, in your case, regarding, I don't know, like the most recent games that you've worked on, and I think that was Monster Boy. Where do you say, what was a point during those development processes where you think you as a game designer or producer grew the most personally, where you think this is sort of like an aha moment, this is how it goes, this is something that really takes my skills to the next level? I guess we're gonna start from left to right again. It just makes things so much easier.
So it's me.
Yeah.
Or what? I think for me it was so from a production standpoint that there were so many things that I still didn't know how processes were like going, and I thought I could help out by saying, okay, let me take this apart, let me fix the process, but it's not that easy, and you need people for doing this. And finding a solution together is, I think, the thing that I learned and that teach me the most, especially getting along with people, understanding each other. And yeah, because you cannot do changes alone. That the most important to me is to make changes together with the team. And that's what a producer is there for. You're the instrument that helps the team solving the issues.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Justin, what about you?
I think there were quite a lot of things happening and systems we implemented where I, as a designer, were growing a lot and like learned a lot. But I think like personally the best part was that I was able to work on let's say like an event demo build thing where it's like a challenge map that directly started, and you could play around with the cool mechs and conquer like resource points and fight off the enemy. Like it was directly into the action and specifically made for exhibition of like a Gamescom or like the PAX. And I think being able to directly see players play your game the first time is like a huge motivational boost, and of course like a huge learning experience as well. And there you see that your game is really like getting like some smiles on people's faces, and getting them to be like stressed because there's just so much going on, and then finally they made the win, and that's I think like the coolest part of it.
Nice. Philip, what about you?
Sorry.
I think, at least for me, I never stopped learning when doing games. You always reach a point where you think, okay, lesson learned, I'll never do this mistake again, or you think that you've seen everything. It's so sure that every project will be a new challenge, there will be new surprises, and so what I started to do for myself was to do some like postmortems, or kind of postmortems, and think about the project when it's finished, and also try to incorporate in like not a daily routine, but like from time to time to review the project that I'm working on, often together with the team, and look if we did mistakes that we could have prevented, or if we can like draw any learnings from them. So basically it's just constant learning and hoping not to do the same mistakes again, which doesn't always work, especially when it comes to time management.
That would have been my follow-up question. Did it work?
Estimating how long things take.
Yeah. So I couldn't save during my tutorial play, so I need to redo my excellent gameplay very soon. But I anyway started Iron Harvest, And Marilena, maybe you can tell us a little bit about the setting of the game and give us some background information about about the art style and stuff like that. And Justin, jump in whenever you like. Yeah, and then I'm going to play a little bit here.
So Iron Harvest is based on the world of 1920 by Jakub Rosalski, which basically established this world of landscapes with gigantic mechs that are basically a bit out of place. This kind of contrast in a kind of diesel punk-ish style. You can actually look up his artworks on ArtStation. They're great. And based off of that and his artworks, basically King Art took that and said, okay, we want to make a story out of this. These artworks tell so much story. Let's make an RTS out of this. And it's basically what we did. And turned out pretty good.
Did you
Maybe Justin can add some things to that.
Just before you start, Stefan, what we have in Iron Harvest is a special mode. You may wanna do that, and that is as we develop this game, like with the 3 different factions, which are like all based on Jakub Rosalski's work. They have we have 3 different voice or 4 different voice overs for the whole game, which is like the German one for the Saxony, and we have a Russian one and a Polish one, then the English one. And what we did was we have a narrative mode, which is basically everybody who's from Saxony, for example, speaks German, and then other Russian people speak Russian. So you can set that into when you start the campaign, you can set that directly.
Okay. So
it's called, I think, native mode.
Yeah. So this is there at the bottom. It's Muttersprachen. That's the native mode that you can enable.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, as Marilena said, it's greatly inspired by those artwork that you can see here. We took that into our vision and did a complete own story and an own IP out of that, basically, with Iron Harvest.
Not sure if I just remember it differently, but
so
the loading screen. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Ah, that's cool.
So now what you hear is our young hero, Anna, as a child, who's trying to play with all the other kids some snowball fight, and that's where our little story begins with that kid who just wants to play with him, and with that snowball fight going on, you can learn how to control the game. The fun part is as we were developing that, I was in charge for the tutorial and for this mission. After a couple of months, Last of Us Part 2 was released last year, and it does basically the same thing where you play the tutorial in the snowball fight, which was a really fun accident.
Yeah, that's cool. And here is my snowball ability. Okay. So.
Yeah, what you can see is here is your small icon where you can select your unit, and then you can for example, try to shoot the snowman. Yeah.
That's a nice idea. That's a really nice idea.
Practice before you beat up the boys.
Yeah. It's nearly the same kind of tutorial as I have just played at the dwarves.
Nearly, yeah. Yeah, it's
cold environments.
We wanted to invite the player into that beautiful world and show him what more or less what's at stake. It's like just after the big war, basically, and the nations are still like divided, and there's like a Cold War, basically, that is about to break out, and that's where the story starts. But yeah, in this case, it's a like really charming first introduction to the whole thing.
Yeah. From a game designer's perspective, I'm really curious about what you did to avoid any cultural mistakes. So did you have any kind of consultant, Russian consultant, Polish consultant, or do you have even team members from that country, or where did you get the knowledge to avoid mistakes?
So we do have a few different team members from different cultures, and like from what's it called, Poland as well. And we work really close with like the voiceover artists, and that are all like natives in their individual language, and that was very like valuable for us. And also like our themes, and that we like the stories that we want to tell was something that we researched quite a lot, and a lot of people were trying to get some like red flags out of the way.
Okay.
Here comes also our community who helped us tackling these problems a lot.
Small things like naming, for example, some of our mech units was something that we wanted to involve the community as well, and avoid like naming some mechs in a like giving them some incorrect names that are pronounced differently, or that are written differently, or something, or that you cannot use in that sense.
It's my first computer snowball fight I ever played. I really really like it.
You could also approach the boys, and then she starts kicking like snow into their faces. That's also fun to see.
Okay.
Thank God you added kicking snow.
Yeah,
because
that's
everything
like,
else would be really
attack. You
cool.
can like press the
just sneak up on your friends, and
small little icon at the bottom, and then you can give them a melee snow attack.
You have to at least play until the cinematic cutscene, Stefan, because you will see a very nice cutscene there.
Okay, looking forward to that.
But this tutorial is very straightforward. You get very far very soon.
Yeah, but honestly, the art style, even in this tutorial, is amazing already. Yeah, it's really, really.
Yeah, props
so
to our lead level artist Alexander Conde, who is a really great guy to work with, and he's like put in a lot of effort into what we finally had then in our game.
I assume you closely work together with your environment artists, and I mean it's.
Yes, absolutely.
I love it
like,
when you actually manage to have like the levels
like
tell a story, you know.
Together.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
Like, the map is like a ping pong of maps. Here I've done a visual pass. Now it's going. It starts with layout, blocking. Then the level artist does the visual pass. It goes back to level design for scripting. Then and staging. Then it goes back to level art again for a second visual pass, polishing. So. Every day there is communication between both of the departments.
So I assume all the levels for the individual campaigns were all handcrafted. Did you use how was it with the multiplayer mode? The one thing that I wanted to ask is, Did you have a multiplayer mode planned from the beginning, or is that something that you added afterwards or during the process? How did you approach building the maps for the multiplayer then? I assume it is a bit, I don't want to say easier, but I do think the approach is a different one than when you build a level for a single player mission, right?
Yeah, totally.
I could tell something about what the plan was with the multiplayer maps, and maybe Justin could go deeper into details about how these maps were made. So multiplayer was a tier of our Kickstarter that could be reached. That, yes, I don't remember correctly which kind of tier it was, but if we would have reached that specific tier, we would have been able to implement multiplayer too. And that, of course, has been reached with all the other tiers that we had. We were so successful, and that's when we said, okay, that's it, we're going to implement multiplayer.
Oh! Yeah. What's happening
I think,
here?
like as you said, there's a lot of difference to designing single player and multiplayer levels, and we planned early on that we would want to have the multiplayer in, and therefore there were a lot of research done, like what should be aware, like what you need to be aware of when designing for RTS multiplayer games. But yeah, there's a complete different approach to it, having like a more linear playthrough of some stuff. Maybe there are some side objectives, or there's like an open battle. There's a lot of like scripting involved, like setting up the enemies and their behaviors, and as you can see right now, like setting up cutscenes that happen. All that stuff is a lot of effort that needs to be put in. And then, like what we did was that we, especially for the main development, we focused on that single player campaign because it was our focus. We want to tell like a story. We want to let the players be involved in that story, and then especially like after the main game was more or less shipped or like finished, we focused more and more on the multiplayer aspect, and we're working more and more on new maps, new modes that we delivered after launch, and yeah.
What
also,
was more fun,
more, like,
doing the single player or the multiplayer maps?
Less cutscenes.
Sorry, I did not understand.
Yeah, more kind of a gameplay aspect to it.
Oh, okay.
Nico, I did not understand what you were saying.
Oh, sorry. What was more fun, the single player or the multiplayer maps design?
Oh, I think I'm I think they were fun in both ways, but I'm like more of a single player guy, so definitely enjoyed playing the single player campaign, and designing all those missions, because you can just like do pretty crazy stuff. Like there's a lot of especially like the final mission is really different to the rest of the content, but also like you have more of an emotional attachment with the characters you grow up throughout the story, and that is what I enjoy, and you can do a bit more on that specialty. For multiplayer, it's more about the player and less about the story. Of course, there's still like a lot of like environmental stuff going on with those maps, but I just enjoy the single player campaign.
I have no time to read the questions in the chat, but Nico, we have some questions regarding the multiplayer map. Maybe you can take care of this. I have to hunt the deer.
Fun fact,
yeah,
I
you're
can't
doing it
because
right.
I had the chat open on my phone, but the battery just
Don't
died.
go after the deer, because if he sees... like, go back into the bush with Anna.
Yeah.
And then you take her brother, and the brother is basically going to lure the deer to Anna. So you have to like take him and chase after the deer. So of course you can see there's fog of war, but if you proceed further, the deer will show up.
I guess the deer went this way here to the right, so I will move him around and hunt the deer back. Haha, there he is.
You can also help yourself, with the map, the mini map.
Stay there.
But yeah, Stefan, you might actually, even if I open the chat in a different window now, I won't see the questions. So it might make sense if you at least check out the most previous questions real quick. Would you do that?
Yes, of course. But if I lose the deer, it's your fault. It's not because of my gameplay.
Yeah, sure. It's not gonna give me any sleepless nights if that's what you're worried about. So.
There is a discussion in the chat about the pathing, I guess. I cannot scroll now because my mouse is in the game and I cannot scroll. About the pathfinding on multiplayer maps. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about the challenges about designing multiplayer maps and doing the right pathfinding in there. Justin?
Yeah, so it was quite a big challenge in the regards of having like all those different mechs being able to like cross certain paths and make that clear that which units or which mechs can fit through what environment, and that was a pretty good challenge, and still something that we are improving like all the time. If there are like some collision issues that come up, we try to solve them whenever we can, and it's like once we like design for the multiplayer aspect, but also like for the single player, we try to get that like into our designs and make sure, like for example, you can only go with your infantry units to a certain spot, and then having like the mechs flanking around that spot just to have a bit more variety in the tactical options that you. And yeah, I think that's a pretty big challenge to make that visually like to make the visual aspect fit with the gameplay aspect.
We do have another question in the chat, actually. Let me check. The question is, do you plan on focusing more on multiplayer once the DLC and the console port is out?
So I think like we at least like we communicate a few things with our dev blogs that we have like every now and then. But yeah, as we right now are focusing on our next big add-on, which will be another story-focused add-on, we plan to still release more multiplayer content alongside. And I think like we already announced the next multiplayer map that we will release, or that I think we released. I'm not quite sure, but I think we will release it quite soon. And I think there will be more for multiplayer people, and there will be more for single player as well. So a lot of stuff coming up.
Stay with Anna in the bush.
Yeah? You really think...
Stay with Anna in the bush.
Okay, I will.
And you have to take brother and go further up the map. You can go even further.
Further up the map, okay.
Yeah, you have to find the deer.
There he is.
There. Okay.
Now find the tank and smash the deer.
Exactly.
Oh god, yeah. Hashtag no animal cruelty. Right. No, stay in the bush. Wait.
Yes, I will. Stop. I will. I just clicked clicked the unbelievable
There you go. Well done. Okay, everyone get ready for the cutscene.
I to jakim strzałem? Najlepszy w twoim życiu.
Żartownisie.
Fu, to jest obrzydliwe.
Nie unikniesz tego. Nie zabijamy dla zabawy.
Janek, naprawdę myślisz, że będzie wojna?
Pewnie. I to dopiero będzie wielka. Obejmie Saksonię, Rozwiecję, Królestwa Nordyckie, a może nawet Szogunat. Cały świat.
Tutaj też przyjdą żołnierze?
Do tej dziury? A po co?
Janek!
No strzelaj!
Ah! 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 Yeah, that's how I do it.
Yeah, mind tricks.
Simply.
Jedi mind tricks.
I just killed the bear. It was so easy. Oh! Oh!
I think it was not you.
That's quite an amazing gun.
O mały włos. Tak, dziękuję. Pewnie był głodny. Ej, Artur! Zabierz zwierza! Będzie z niego dobre futro na Syberię. Idziesz na wojnę? Na rozwietów? Tak. Bronić ojczyzny przed rozwiecką agresją. Rany. Imponujące, co? To śmiały. Najnowszy model. Będą kompletnie zaskoczeni. Ale niesamowity. Chodź, wieś musi być niedaleko. Szukacie Zalesia? Jestem stamtąd, mogę was zaprowadzić. No to wsiadaj, żołnierzu. Wracaj prosto do domu, dobrze? I pamiętaj o pieczeni!
Oh, the
Okay.
best part's
You
about to come.
got quite a
Wait.
good
Oh,
idea of
okay.
like, what we wanted to do
Not
with
over
like the
yet.
atmosphere here.
Not over yet. Okay.
Wracaj
No.
prosto do domu i nie zapomnij o pieczeni. Halo?
Oh!
Oh, come on! Ah,
Oh!
O nie.
Okay, now I need to kill the little grizzly baby.
no!
Oh, that's a story twist. Oh.
You are monsters.
No, she adopted him.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
To
So
nie
this
twoja
is
decyzja,
actually
Piotrze.
how
Tylko
Anna met Wojtek.
jeśli chce bronić ojczyzny, to będzie rzeź. Przecież dobrze wiesz, co potrafią te maszyny.
Każdy ochotnik dostaje wyszkolenie i sprzęt. Kto wie, może kiedyś będziesz właśnie dowodził jednym z nich.
Mowy nie ma. Nie chcę, by mój syn zginął w kolejnej bezsensownej wojnie. Bezsensownej? Walczymy o nasze domy i naszą wolność. Na kogo chcesz wychować syna? Na patriotę czy na tchórza? Jak ja?
Oh, I just
My
noticed that we
wszyscy
did
staniemy
not
w
change
obronie
the
Polanii.
subtitles to English.
ty?
We should have done that.
Yeah,
Wojna nie będzie taka straszna.
but basically,
Wujek Lech się mną
yeah,
zajmie.
they're talking about this war and conflict and what's about to happen, that Polania needs more warriors, and that basically brother is being called to war.
Polanin. Powinieneś być z tego dumny.
And Anna, of course, disagrees and is sad about it.
Ty idziesz na wojnę?
Słyszałaś. To kilka miesięcy.
Zostawisz
O.
mnie samą.
Nie. Nigdy. Ja chcę cię tylko chronić. Wojna.
Only a few months,
chcemy czy nie.
of course.
Wuj Lech mówi, że naszą jedyną szansą jest szybki atak. Pokażemy
I'm telling you,
Rozwietom
this
i
crying
Saksonom,
bear
że nie
baby
damy
now
sobą
gives me, the
pomiatać.
bear cup
Nie
now gives me
będziemy się kryć.
nightmares. Thanks for that.
Oh.
To będzie krwawa jadka.
I'm going
But
to
at least,
kill him
like,
in a minute,
Nie
Nico.
lubi się
Like
Don't
the
worry.
small baby is not alone anymore.
i naprawiać zardzewiałe maszyny.
Yeah,
Still.
On tego nie rozumie.
he's found Anna now.
Chcę iść z tobą.
That's actually what I
But yeah,
like
it's
so
it's
much.
it's
that
really
is, well
it's
done.
really sad for the
That-
bear.
You know, it started all with a artwork of Anna and Wojtek, and look, you know, now there's a story behind it, how they met, and it's beautiful. It's like, yeah, you can.
I mean,
as you said,
fun
Justin,
fact
you
there,
can
there's
basically
actually
grow
like a
together
bear
with
in the
characters.
Polanian
It's amazing.
army.
It's like bonding.
Wojna będzie wielką przygodą.
Like there was actually like a bear that was part of like a
Yes.
like a Polish army group or something. I'm not quite sure what the actual name was.
Really Wojtek.
Yeah.
Okay, those scenes are really cool.
Yeah, like.
Is this
the first
actually
time, I think
like
we saw that throughout the development?
the scenes
we were
without
all
the
like,
robots? Is this
so
actually
cool.
like real historical footage, and you just added the robots, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
This was also, I don't know if you recall, this was also a part of our Gamescom trailer that we showed.
Mm-hmm.
This is also like one of Jakub's artworks. It basically looks almost the same.
Wow. Wow.
Toughy.
Here,
this loading screen. Sorry, I think this was one of the first screenshots that I saw after Iron Harvest was announced for the first time, or the Kickstarter campaign. At least I remember it to be one of the first screenshots, and I think this and a handful of other pictures that I saw, and you already got me with that one. That was so cool.
Yeah, the style and the theme of Jakub Rusalski's pictures are amazing. Those paintings directly set you in the mood. So,
yeah. As most of you know, this game was a big winner at the German Game Developer Award. And Philipp, you were part of the jury, so you are not allowed to tell us any internal stuff of your jury discussions, of course. But what would you say? What's so special about the game design of Iron Harvest? What made it so successful at the award?
Well, I can only talk for myself, but what I really liked was how story and narration was combined was the gameplay, and it has such a strong tie between gameplay and narration, which I really like a lot. And I think it's coming back to something that you said earlier, like that's the signature from studios, and I think this is a signature from King Art. That they put so much effort in how the story is told in the narration, also with the dialogues, and this creates such a good atmosphere, and also atmosphere is part of game design, and yeah, it's not only the mechanics themselves, but it's how everything's put together and fits and sticks together. And of course, then there's you try to have like objective criteria, because everybody has different tastes, and in the jury you have to discuss things, not only like, no, I prefer this game, so fuck you, no, it has to win, and the other one says something else, and so you have to come down to some objective criteria. Sorry?
No, I was just saying yes. Right.
And it's also many games in this genre tend to have like an abundant micromanagement, which always gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And in Iron Harvest, it's not that deep, and it's very good because the game does everything it has to do, and it gives you all mechanics that you need. And I never had the feeling that I'm missing a mechanic. Especially like when it comes to base building, it's if you compare it to StarCraft or like real RTS games, it's more lightweight. But to me, it works better. But also, it's a question of taste. But I think there are many points in game design that have been very well evaluated, how much depth they need, and like as much depth as needed, but not more than needed. And in the end, it pays off. It's a similar formula with Tsushima, for example, which to me is the perfect open world game. It's not too big. It doesn't do so many things, but the things it does, it's executed to almost perfection. And this is something, in my opinion, Iron Harvest and Tsushima have in common.
That's I guess like a big footstep to put into, because like Ghost of Tsushima, I would say is a really great open world game, and good to hear that we at least like somewhat made a good impression of what our game design was. I think like we like personally like our team we see a lot of like things that we could have done better. Obviously there's always room to grow, especially like as you said with the narrative and combining that into the gameplay and the other way around. That is something that we like still tend to do even more and like try to set up even more of that like synergy where gameplay and the narrative is just in the same agency as the player. And yeah, I think we had a lot of like a lot of that comes from like how we tell the stories, and obviously like our cutscene team and the cinematics are great as well to tell those stories. But yeah.
That was one of the most important things to us. Was also a promise we made in our Kickstarter that would be our focus.
I did not catch you. Sorry.
Really now? Is something wrong with my mic? Okay.
No, but you just started talking at the same time, and then you stopped talking at the same time.
I was basically just agreeing to what Justin said.
Okay. Phil, what did you say?
Now I get it. Okay, sorry. I know.
I don't remember.
What to do.
I'm sorry. Okay.
I'm almost as old as Nico, so I start forgetting things I want to say.
Aren't you even older?
I don't know.
Could
38?
you please stop talking about age? I'm still
okay,
around.
so I am older. But at least Chris Wolf is your son.
Yeah. Where is he? He's the character.
Still a good one. I do have to add, from a gamer's perspective, I mean, what else? I'm not a developer. I don't know jack shit about game development. I just good at pretending. But from a gamer's perspective, what I always appreciate is, well, let's say, I do think that it's easy to hide depth behind, I don't know, like an enormous amount of, like you said, Phil, micromanagement, and overcomplicate things for the sake of making things complicated. But I do think it is an art in itself, not only designing the UI UX, but also gameplay mechanics in a way that they are. I'm missing the word here. They feel natural. There's a handful of mechanics, but they allow you to do a lot of different things. And I think what people for many years quoted basically as like the Blizzard approach. It's easy to learn, but hard to master. And I do think this is kind of like a nice credo, This is like there is depth, but it also comes from skill. The more effort you put into using the elements that you have at hand and perfectionize some sort of gameplay approach. And this is what I, as a gamer, really appreciate. And looking at all the levels, This is exactly the style of environmental design that I love, where everything is handcrafted, and if anything is in this or in this or in this spot, it is there not because it's randomly generated, but someone wanted this object to be in this specific place, and everything tells a story, and this is what I really like. So, kudos, good job.
Meaningful play.
Yeah, thanks. We have really great level artists that allowed us level designers to play some pretty simple blockouts and simple placeholder assets, and they make really great stuff out of them. Because like having that like strong, let's say, back and forth between those different departments is just so much like worth, and being able to iterate inside like within those iteration steps between the different departments is also why we can at least like have a lot of really great maps and really great missions. And just to wanted to make sure, as you said, like the handcrafted design and the handcrafted art. We have a lot of like handcrafted work, but like the cool part about like our technology, we work with like a system that allows us to really quickly place vegetation in our scenes that is like procedurally generated in that area, and then can go ahead and manipulate those areas. Like in, for example, here the fields, we can really quickly have something there. Which improves like the ability to iterate and us to be able to quickly change like a let's say like a forest biome and place it somewhere else, and that is like was a big part of why we could speed up like a lot of processes.
Actually, what engine did you use?
We used Unity.
Unity.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. Like we have great developers, of course, working really close with like different systems and Unity, and of course there are like with every engine a few hiccups here and there, and as we know, like there's a lot of things to consider when you, for example, port it to a console or something, and a lot of like work went into the programming structure and the engineering part.
I'm a big fan of the gameplay already. It's really awesome. I've read some comment in the chat from Clara. She says the single player story is the best I have played in decades. Wow.
That's great to hear. I guess
that's quite cool. But
I hope it was not the only game she like they played.
Yeah. And but talking about elements that make gameplay not just good but excellent. Philip, what would you say? What are the most important things in a real-time strategy game like this to really catch a player and get a feedback like that?
I think it's certainly the control that you need to have on the units themselves, especially when there's multiplayer involved and people competing each other. The gameplay has to be responsive, and the units have to do what the player does, well, what the player wants them to do, and not the opposite. Otherwise, well, it will get tricky. I think this is also one of the, because you mentioned the Blizzard formula earlier, I think this is also one of the keys why Blizzard games are working so well. Because, well, my personal view, I'm not a big fan of the Blizzard formula. It's
okay.
There's some things that work well, but others, I don't know. Most of Blizzard games feel quite repetitive. If you play them for a long time, and it's just doing the same thing over and over and over again, and at some point, and also in the story, you totally lose like out of sight what the purpose is, what you're doing, what you're fighting. I don't know, in Diablo 3 and chapter 3 or 4, I don't have any clue anymore when what my purpose is, and it was different in Iron Harvest, for example.
Okay, that's interesting, because normally talking about real-time strategy, it's always like Gotteslästerung. I don't know the English word for that. But
Heresy.
Heresy.
Yeah.
Heresy. when talking about Blizzard, yeah, and saying I'm not a big fan of Blizzard games. It's okay, but I get your point. It's always the same kind of gameplay. Yeah, it's this is something special. At least
and
until.
Sorry to interrupt you. Talking of Blizzard, it's something that repeats across games, so it's basically their signature. Gameplay in Warcraft, World of Warcraft, and Diablo 3 is so close and so similar.
By now, yes, they are. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
And
That's true.
I don't know.
I get your point.
I prefer
right.
King Art's approach, doing different games in different genres with a cool signature, which is the narration, and it's a different approach.
I think what we try to do, and at least some players seems did like the single player campaign as well. That we try to establish our characters and establish our world. Those two things are what works for Iron Harvest, and that is having that really interesting setting, and then working with that setting and doing cool things with it, as with having cool mechs that are all individual, and you see those little animations, or you see those jumping, walking through houses and destroying what's behind them, and then having those characters that are in this war world, and they have to kind of defend their homes, and showing that the cruelty of the war, basically, and that it's those characters have a relationship with each other, and growing into that world with those characters is something that I think King Art is doing really well, and I hope we did a good job with that for Iron Harvest as well.
Have you seen that?
Yes.
What did Piotr just do?
That was the Hadouken.
Wow.
I don't know if you saw, he just pulled his glove off, revealing a mechanical arm, which basically struck that bomber with one hit. And throughout the story, you will get to know more about this mechanical arm and what's behind it, and who is father, and what's happening to him, and all these things. So.
Okay.
We do have a few more characters than what you can play with. Of course, there are a few single player characters that are just there for the story and getting you involved, and having the relationships as I was talking about. And in our game, you can play for each faction you have 3 different heroes, each with their individual abilities, and that is where we have the really unique abilities and things that change how you play a certain faction, for example.
It's awesome. It makes a lot of fun, and I can see the subtitles all the time, so our viewers out there can't see them because your pictures are the subtitles. But I really like the writing, the wording, the dialogues. So you put a lot of effort in many small details. How hard is it to do that through the whole game? So is it okay, 80% are done and now it's getting boring, and I have no power to do it anymore. So how do you motivate yourself to keep that high quality level?
I think like yeah, go ahead.
So from my experiences, most of the time you work with what you have. Like you worked on a certain mission and for narrative part of the mission, and you see the results of that and see, okay, this is going into the right direction, but it's still not good enough. But it motivates me to strive for a better quality or a better kind of dialogue or other certain aspects, and I think so. I can speak for myself. That was what motivated me the most.
No.
I think it's a huge challenge to get that done like through all those missions, because we have quite a lot of single player content, and Jan Tyson, who was like responsible for most of the story, did an amazing job, and like the other writers, and we have some like more narrative focused designers who are also more focused on that part and make sure that like the voice lines are in there and the texts are in there correctly, because it's just like a lot of stuff. Like we have so much
it was a lot. Like, the recordings, text. It was a lot to record, I remember. So kudos to the Loka team.
Oh, this is so exciting. I'm sorry. I would love to talk with you more, but I'm fighting the battle of my life here. And there is...
Wait until you can play the mechs.
In the dwarves, I could always press space to have a little break and overlook the situation. And here it's like, survive. Whenever I press space, nothing happens. I need to press pause, but I don't have a pause button on my keyboard. Yeah, but anyway, it's a lot of fun, but I'm really focused on not losing here. Okay, but Marilena, you just said wait until you play the what?
The mechs.
Wait until you can play with the mechs, because that's when it gets really funny, because you have like so many possibilities, so many different kind of mechs.
Oh, come on.
Crazy.
Okay.
And like in this campaign, so you have 3 campaigns, right? And you can play each faction in every campaign. And I think the Polania mechs are very fun to play.
Philip,
like their biggest mech is like
as I just
gigantic
saw that in the
gun
chat. Shout out to Elliot, who I just mentioned, with being one of the like narrative focused designers who did work a lot with like our voice artists and all this. Is like that was a huge effort, and especially since we were working with different like nationalities, with different time zones and everything. So yeah.
I remember when he had recordings in 5 in the morning or so.
Yeah.
Philip, is this kind of gameplay and this kind of game something you would do with FDG?
Why not?
Yeah, because Oceanhorn.
We're not all too much focused on genres. It's more about cool games and games that are entertaining.
Because
of course,
I think
we're a little bit biased, but
yeah,
any game that's cool, except adult games. We did enough of them like 15 years ago. We're done with that. But we had to make money somehow.
Worked out. Yeah.
I think there's like an approach now, like with a few more publishers going on, where they like are more open to have like different scoped titles and like different budgets for those titles. Like I think like Private Division, like a subdivision of the Rockstar label, has now like even more like get in like a lot more different genres into their portfolio, and I think there a lot more publishers will do that now that like the whole industry is just so much like growing so much.
I have grenades now, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's like another like basic functionality of our game, that you can like switch the infantry to different types and having them equip weapons on the fly, while still keeping their like veterancy status and therefore like having abilities and so on.
Okay, got it.
So like in this example, it's like a grenade, but we do have like more different variations for the infantry, like a flamer or like a machine gun. All those have like different use cases that you can use against the enemy.
Okay, I will show you how to do it, just in case you haven't known yet. Yeah. So now I'm using my grenades. Take a look at this. Take a look at this. Take a look at it. Bam! Ha!
You almost killed them beforehand.
But you have to be careful. You have to try and find cover.
No. It's everything is awesome. It's wonderful.
It worked out. Yeah.
They do exactly what I want them to do. They just follow my orders, like Nico. Yeah, and. Sebastian just told me that we only have around about 10 minutes to go. So, although I would love to continue playing this game for hours, I guess we have to come to an end soon. Oh, I guess they have a machine gun, right? No, they only have grenades there.
Like, okay. Yeah, that's like another difference between the different factions. Like all infantry units have different like basic guns for the rifleman units that we have, like for those standard soldiers, and therefore like the Polanian units have more range, but the Russian units have less range but more like can deliver more damage over time. Yeah, like that's like the difference, and of course like our mechs, as I already mentioned, like the mechs are like what makes the armies individual.
This year, Philip, was one of the best years in terms of quality that we had at the German Game Developer Awards in the last year, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was a really tough competition.
It was.
What other games were nominated in the category game design? It was
Desperados 3.
Yeah.
It was Desperados 3. There was Nora Prophet. And there was it's been quite a while ago. I think it was 3 months ago.
Was Lost Ember among them as well?
Checked out the games. I have to look up. I only remember 3 of them.
It was like a tough like competition. Definitely, we did not like fault that we win that one. Like kudos to everybody there and being nominated. Like this year, the German industry showed how much like what we can do and what we can deliver, and I think it's just going uphill now, and we start to show here in Germany we can develop games that are really great, that are have a lot of value to them, and even like from smaller studios to bigger studios, we're all growing together now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That was my first thought when I saw the lineup of nominees, that this year set a completely new bar, a new height in terms of quality, and if that levels, if we stay at that level and that level even continues to grow, it's amazing. It's really really
we only
cool.
talked about game design for Iron Harvest, but for me was the most outstanding thing was the music, which I personally my origins are in sound engineering and music, and like I love the music, and especially the high quality standard of the music, which is insane.
Yeah,
was it recorded?
Julian and the people like working on the music were doing so good stuff. Like we were working with a lot of great people there.
And that was one of the first comments we had today in the chat. Someone saying,
oh, wow.
I love the music of that game.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful track.
Yeah.
And yeah, sorry, I did not really listen to the music so far. So what is so special about the soundtrack?
The quality, it's like how it
sounds great.
The production is really high value, and it's an absolute highest level production, and also the compositions are very good. It's very catchy and very. It's always difficult with like classical themed music. It can go wrong like really hard and be super boring, but the music is not boring in Iron Harvest.
I just got the hint that I should go into the menu because the menu has such an awesome music. So I will check that out later. And is it an orchestral soundtrack, so recorded with an orchestra, or is it just a synthesizer? What do you...
So I from what I know in past, King Art has always worked with orchestra. And I think maybe they do mix up a bit of technical stuff too, but most of the time, most of the stuff is orchestra, like real instruments doing the job. I think there you can also distinguish the quality of the sound of the game.
Yeah, but that's an important point, Philip. I guess the atmosphere of a game needs a really fantastic soundtrack and
sound effects.
And
audio is so important.
Yeah,
especially if you have like those big mechs that stomp through everything. You need to and like shoot like heavy cannons that has to, like the feeling and the feedback that you get from it has to be great. And I think the sound department was doing an amazing job with providing that feedback, and of course like the effects as well. Like the visual effects.
Yeah, I remember when Julian was looking for the perfect sound for the Stalin-Orgel. I don't know what it's called in English. I don't remember. But basically, I think you know what a Stalin-Orgel is, like so many pipes, and he was like, I'm looking for the perfect sound. I need to get the perfect sound. So he was very invested into that.
I just read here from King Art Games in the chat. Yes, we worked with great orchestras native to each faction.
Oh, that's cool.
You
that's
can actually
a really nice
hear
touch.
that.
Wow.
Yeah, there's like a. I think you can take a look in YouTube or something, or at our King Art YouTube account. There should be something where we have like a like show the orchestral stuff. And that's like they did amazing.
Okay. Actually, I know it's a question that many people ask, and there's not always an official answer to it. But can you say what the budget was for the game?
I mean,
you can tell.
Well, you know the official budget on Kickstarter.
Yeah, like I think you can take a look at the Kickstarter campaign
tomorrow.
and see what we gained there and what we planned to do with that money and with our investment. But there was then like a publisher involved as well, so they're just like estimates.
Sure. I know it's a difficult question.
Yeah, it's always. But as soon as you have other partners included, you have NDAs and contracts and all this stuff here. I was really surprised to read the blog of Maschinenmensch. I always... Maschinenmensch in Berlin, where they were so open and frank with their complete income and budget and all of this. That was really surprising. So once you have signed a contract with another partner, there normally is an NDA about the budget and the costs and all this stuff. Yeah. But I'm curious too. So maybe we have some whistleblower in the chat.
I mean, I heard that Jan will be here, so maybe poking him again, he can maybe say like an estimate.
Please
I'm
tell
not sure.
us.
Yeah.
At least we can't do it, I guess.
We have $50. Okay, thank you.
I can guarantee it was a bit more.
51.
55, okay.
Okay. Now we got the number.
Maybe something that I can tell is that the budget that we had from Kickstarter, all of that is to assure we want to stay as long as possible in pre-production to conceptualize and build up the game to our imagination, so we could find the perfect publisher for us and to basically sell our vision way better. And that worked out with Koch Media, and game has been shipped.
Yeah, we have some fun here in the chat. So King Art Games just said it was $400, and then King Art
they haven't been paid in years.
Yeah, haven't been paid in years. Please send help.
I think Astrid did mention it good. Like Jan will tell all the secrets next week Thursday in Vertical Slice.
Yes,
so
he will.
We'll see about that. What Jan has to say.
We will all be there to check out the numbers. Yeah.
I actually do think this is quite of a good segue. We will come to the famous last words. It always sounds so dramatic. I think let's start with the famous last words. And then we're going to give you all a preview to what we have in store for our viewers over the next couple of days, I'd say. What do you think, Stefan? Does that sound like a plan?
Yeah, it sounds like a plan. So we are around about 7 minutes over the time. Anyone, all of you can now give us some famous last words about the game, about the future of the games industry, whatever you like to say. So let's start the other way around with Justin and then Philip and Marilena.
Okay. So yeah, first of all, it was a pleasure to be here. So thanks for inviting us. Always great to talk about like the insights or the behind the scenes of what we do at King Art Games. And we are still like working on stuff for Iron Harvest, so everybody can just stay tuned. There will be coming a lot more content, and we are looking forward to release our first like big add-on. And for all like game devs out there that might listen, we plan to work on more projects in the future, and there will be even like some like really big ones, and we will look for other people, so stay tuned there as well.
Okay, so a lot of people in the chat ask for your reveals about new DLCs and all this stuff. So if anyone can tell us a little bit about this, it's going to be Jan next week on Thursday at the Vertical Slice show. But let's continue with famous last words. Philip.
Well, thanks a lot. It was a pleasure to be on the stream and to share the time with you. And
thanks for joining.
I'm really looking forward to King Art's next game and wonder what it will be. And well, in the meantime, let's hope that we can meet in person soon again. So it's really missing. So the stream was a very good opportunity to fill this gap that we have with all the conferences that are not happening and so on.
Fingers crossed for
it's positive. Summer. It's cool. We're seeing each other again, and it would be cool to see like an audience stream as well. Somehow that would be nice. But I doubt that people would really do that.
Yeah, why not? So the GameDev Show in the future is going to be a very good place for all of those kind of topics. So it's Nico. If he delivers the content, such amazing things to happen in the next month. Yeah. You have to work a little bit more, Nico. Marilena.
Did I mention that I have my last call today at 1 a.m.?
It's soon. Marilena.
Yeah, I have very similar feelings as Justin has. First of all, yeah, thank you very much for having me here. Well, I feel incredibly honored that I could work with such a professional team with a lot of years of experience. I did learn so much. I don't know if I would have learned that much somewhere else. It's incredible. This team has been very, very helpful for me and my knowledge, and I'm looking forward to new projects, new people that I can get to know, and that we're growing, and our team is becoming better day by day.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I always hope the same for my team. Right, Nico?
Do you expect me to also say I learned so much?
You can learn so much from
I
all
can't even
people,
go
right?
Continue. Okay, so it was a pleasure having all of you here in the show, and just a little outlook for what's happening this evening. In roundabout half an hour, 45 minutes or something, Nico is going to do a let's play here. About which game, Nico?
I'm gonna play through my hopefully final playthrough of Other Side, turn-based strategy game. You know, this is like like XCOM style with a really peculiar graphic style. Reminds me a bit of a mixture between like Nier Automata and Frank Miller's Sin City. So really cool. So I'm trying to do my final gold trophy platinum run. Other than that, let me think. I think that's it for today. I just need to, I don't know, like change all the setup again and try to make it work. So I'll be there in, I don't know, like 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I don't know. Like I said, I'm gonna unpack this little beauty here. It's not a new game, obviously, but I got the collector's edition spontaneously. So let's check out what it has.
Wonderful.
What it contains.
And
other than
tomorrow afternoon at 4, we continue our tutorials here. So the real Hellcat is going to run the next session of his Unreal tutorial. So how to do games in Unreal. On Friday morning at 10, we have another early access show. Then next week on Monday evening, it's Nico, I guess, with another Let's Play. Then we have another early access show. So we will continue deliver awesome content here on the devcom channel. And thank you so much for all the activity in the chat. And Bolondos, thanks for the compliment. I read it. I really enjoy. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us. Philip, Marilena, cool. Justin, super cool. Thanks.
It was a pleasure.
For having this really nice time together. So take care, everyone. Hope to see you soon.
You too.
Yeah, stay safe.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
This was wonderful. This was wonderful. Yeah, so that was fun. Thanks for joining us today. And we are going to do a lot of advertisement for our upcoming vertical slice show next week on Thursday. I guess it's 11 a.m., right, Astrid? 11 a.m. next week, Thursday. Wonderful. I'm right. So this is going to be awesome, and stay safe, stay tuned, and come back in 30 minutes. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.